Hello, this is Alessandrina and Dexter, and today we're going to talk about stress and anxiety, something that most people experience, sometimes a
I,
lot,
I've never experienced it.
sometimes less, and it's possible to experience less of it. The first thing when talking about stress and anxiety and the resolution of stress and anxiety is to realize that if we react to our own stress and anxiety as if it was real and true and valid, then we kind of get lost in that. And so realizing that, yes, we do feel it, yes, we do experience it. So in some level, it is true, it is real, it is valid. And at the same time, well, if we quiet our minds and if we stay with the feelings, the sensations in our body and the thoughts in our minds and the emotions that come up, then we can actually slow down and realize what is really being projected, what is going on that's creating this stress and anxiety.
When you do that, when you realize what's really being projected, well, then you have an opportunity to really evaluate, is what I'm projecting, is this really worth thinking about right now over and over and over again? And is it really even true? How often do we spend time stressing about things that never come true? And it's sometimes it's really hard to put our projections that we're stressing about, the things we're imagining, under a microscope, to look at them with our consciousness, because while we're thinking about them, while we're stressing, we're feeling it and we're thinking it. And it's so easy to get caught up in believing that if we think it and we feel it, it must be true. This is like a habitual response. And notice, if you observe yourself throughout the day as you have your thoughts and your emotions and you go through your process moment to moment, maybe when you're at the grocery store, when you get in the car, when you go to work, when you come home, what are you thinking about, and how bought in are you to that reality that you're in a way imagining?
And then if you'll take a moment to think about, well, is this helping me to be stressed and anxious? Is this helping me to project those things? So when we're projecting and then reacting with stress and anxiety, we are in the energy of problems, we are in the energy of the stress and anxiety, and we are not in the energy of what we want, meaning the resolution, the solution to that problem that we're projecting, to that misapprehension that we're feeling and imagining. So when we realize that it's not helpful, that the stress and anxiety don't help us remain conscious, and that they don't help us to creatively think, feel, and really get in touch with how can we find a resolution? How can we be in the energy and the state of the solution? So Einstein said that you can't think, or you can't find the solution to a problem from the same mind that created the problem to begin with.
And that's what we often try to do all day.
We're in the energy of the problem. We're in the energy of the projection. We're in the energy of stress and anxiety. And in that energy, the state of inner peace, of joy, of abundance, of health, of well-being, of love, of kindness, of patience, it's not available to us.
So with this video, perhaps you're understanding, yeah, well, stress and anxiety, not really that useful. Yeah, well, the things I'm imagining when I'm stressed and anxious are really not that accurate or true or beneficial. So then maybe the next question is, how do I not feel stressed and anxious, and why do I? Well, the why is because we've been raised in a world where stress and anxiety are essentially the norm. So we're conditioned into it, we're programmed into it. And in our early age, we're in hypnosis until the age of 7. And so we just pick up basically where humanity left off at the time we were born, if you know what I mean. And what that means is that we're habitually conditioned subconsciously to react to life in stress and survival mode.
And in addition to that, we react to the reaction, meaning that we judge ourselves. We judge the anxiety and the stress. When we realize that we're feeling stressed and anxious, whenever that happens, we then feel like that's problematic. And we don't accept it. And by not accepting it and by judging it, we actually get further away from what would be the solution, the resolution to the stress and anxiety.
Yeah. So that's a key step, is to, when you feel yourself being stressed and anxious, is that the time to say, Dexter, you're so bad. You failed. I can't believe you feel this way again. That's the time to say, I feel stressed and anxious. How about that?
And why is that? Who is it that feels stressed and anxious, and why?
So you might find, it's this part of me that's really concerned about my health or my money or my kids or my relationship.
And is that helping me with my kids, my relationships, my abundance, my work? Definitely not.
So, of course, if you want to become less stressed and less anxious, that's such an essential first step, is to consciously, completely invalidate your own process of stress and anxiety in a way. Not invalidate in a bad way, as if saying, it doesn't exist or it's bad for it to exist. Not like that. Just to recognize that it is not a strategy that you want to apply to life because it's not helping you. Realizing that fully is essential to fully resolving stress. And believe it or not, you might feel like, I already know that. Well, if you really already knew that in all parts of yourself, then you probably wouldn't feel stressed and anxious. And so it's about continuing the process, continuing to ask, who is it that feels stressed and anxious, and why? Understanding that part of you and where it's trying to go. And then probably, in addition to that, doing some work internally with your energy and your emotions.
Exactly. And as you change your energy, as you accept, as you embrace, as you inquire and explore and become aware of the layers of projection, layers upon layers upon layers of projection that are creating the stress and anxiety, then you can find peace. You can realize that the movie that you're projecting is not true. And then you can ground yourself, come back to the present moment in your body, in your breath, in stillness, in silence, and ask yourself, what do I want to actually experience and create right now? What does that look like? What does that feel like? Let me embody that energy. Let me really resonate with it and radiate it all around me, so that then you can begin to integrate that new state of energy, and also continue to release and integrate the old parts that used to resonate with stress and anxiety.
So what happens if you choose that, and then so you choose, okay, I realize I'm stressed and anxious. I understand now more of the part of me that is stressed and anxious and why it is and what it's projecting. And so now I'm going to choose to focus on, what I do want, on feeling the way that I do want to feel, on feeling joy, on feeling inner peace, and on focusing on the wonderful future that I want, and feeling that now. What happens if after you do that, a minute later, you're thinking about the thing you were stressed about again?
Well, that's part of it. That's part of the process of integration and clearing and releasing and going deeper and deeper into all the layers that are bringing about the stress and anxiety. So you start again, you accept, you inquire, you explore, you forgive, and again, you tune into that energy of the solution, of what you do want to feel, of the inner peace, of the joy, of the gratitude, of the abundance. And time again, through repetition, in the same way that we've been conditioned through repetition to stress and anxiety, now you're conditioning your subconscious mind to actually be at peace, to be quiet, still. And it is in the stillness and silence that we find this creative energy and all of the potentials that are available to us that are more in alignment with what we want to experience, rather than all the fearful projections that come from the conditioning.
And you begin to practice single-pointed focus. And you become better and better at it, so that you're no longer just, focused and feeling inner peace and joy and what you want, for 1 minute, it stretches after 2 minutes and 3 minutes. And as you start to do that, you start to add up or accrue time spent practicing this higher state of consciousness, the joy, the inner peace, and that which you do want. And that starts to, over time, negate all of the time that we have spent being stressed and anxious.
And also, it reprograms your subconscious mind. So now, throughout the day, the 95% of the time that you are in your subconscious mind, there is the energy of inner peace, of stillness, of silence, of joy, of abundance, because you've practiced it. And now it's become familiar to your subconscious mind, and it becomes over time the default mode rather than the stress and anxiety that used to be the default mode.
So that's some of it in a nutshell in 10 minutes, and there's so much more. And in our videos, in our courses, in our facilitation sessions, our one-on-one sessions, our intention is to give you all of the information that will help you free yourself from stress, anxiety, suffering, and to experience inner peace and joy and a very happy path to getting to wherever that you want to go. And there are layers upon layers upon layers of subtle understandings that we can provide you with, and that we intend to, and the deeper ones, the more subtle ones, the more nuanced ones, they, if we were to share some of those with you now, it wouldn't even make sense. So if you stay with us and you continue watching our videos and enjoying and appreciating our services, then we'll be able to guide you very deeply into this process.
And we hope that this is very helpful for you, and that ultimately, by applying yourself to this process, you as an individual and the collective consciousness can actually free all of us from our addiction to stress and anxiety and survival.
And then the choices that we make as individuals and as a species will be less driven by stress, anxiety, and fear, and driven more by conscious intention and love. And we'll get better and better results. We hope that this was helpful.